Give a brief descriptions of the narrator's boat. How had the narrator equipped and tested? The narrator's boat was called the Waywaker. It was built beautiful 23-meter long, 30-ton wooden hull. It had been professionally built. They had spent months fitting out the resting in the roughest weather they could lead. Question number three. How long did the narrator plan for his voyage? The narrator had planned the round the world journey to over 105,000 kilometers in 3 days. When and with whom did the narrator begin his voyage? The narrator began his sea voyage in July 1976. He had his wife Mary, 6 years old son Jonathan, and 7 years old daughter Suzanne with him. They set sail from Plymouth, England. Whom did the narrator employ and why? When did he did so? The narrator employed two crewmen, American Larry Vigil and Swiss Herb Sailor, in order to help them tackle the southern Indian Ocean, which is known one of the roughest seas of the world, and he rigged them before leaving the Cape Town. Question number six: what happened on their second day of the Cape Town, and what worried the narrator and why? On their second day out of Cape Town, they began to face strong and storms. Question number seven: how did they celebrate the Christmas holidays? They were 3,000 5,000 kilometers east of the Cape Town, 25th December. The weather was very bad, still, they had a wonderful holiday complete with. 8. How did the weather change on the January 2? How did they feel? The weather changed for who's the January 2 and now were the gigantic as the ship rose and the top wave they saw addressed enormous seas rolling towards them. The screaming and wind spray was painful to the ears. Bodyboards were made to face the rough weather. In order to face the rough weather, the speed of the ship slowed down. They dropped the storm jeep, they lashed heavy mooring rope and loop across the steam, and then they fastened together everything and went through the life wrap deal. They attached the lifeline and put the waterproof and life jackets. What sort of wave hit the ship? How did the narrator react? It was a mighty and huge wave. It appeared perfectly vertically. It was almost twice of the height of the other waves. It had very unpleasant breaking crest. The narrator had never been seen such enormous wave, so he was filled with horror. Question number 11. What was the impact of the torrent of the narrator wave walker? A tremendous explosion shook the deck. The narrator heard head stuck and he wheel and the flew overboard and sinking below the waves. Unexpectedly, his head came out of water. Wave Walker was almost capsizing. Her masts were almost horizontal. Question number 12. How did the narrator manage to survive through the attacks of subsequent waves? One of the waves through the ship's upright, the narrator was able to reach its main boom. Subsequently, waves tossed around and check a ragdoll. His left ribs cracked and mouth was filled with blood and broken teeth. Somewhere he flew. How did the narrator and the other members react on the presence of the water in the ship? The narrator could not leave the wheel and examine the damage. Mary shouted that the deck were broken and they were sinking. Laddie and Herb were pumping out water like madmen. Sue had a big bump over her eyes, but children said that they were all right. I had question number 14. No time to worry about bumped heads, said the narrator. What problems do you think deserve the immediate attentions? The starboard said had stuck the open and they were taking in more water with every wave breaking over them. If they were did not, and what problems did the narrator face during the night of January 2, 1977? The hand pumps were started to move a block and debris floating around the cabins. The electric pump short circuited, the water level rose threateningly. The two spare hand pumps had been mounted and was from the neck. How did the narrator was problem and which does it reveal? The narrator did not lose his calm courage and problems. He thought calmly at the room floor he found in working other day they were see. I did not want to worry and Admirably, she had enormous black eyes. She also had a deep cut of his arms. She did not bother and her daddy about her injuries as he was busy and more important tasks. Question number 18. What do you think that the narrator searched for an island so eagerly? The wave that was wave worker had caused extensively damage. Nearly all the boat's main frames had been smashed down. The keel and a whole sections of the starboard hull was being held up. A few cupboard of the partitions Weber could not hold together long enough for them to reach Australia, so searched for an island to repair the boat. Why could they not set the sail and main mast on for January? The hull of the ship had been damaged, and pressures on the ropes supporting the mast and the sails would simply pull the damaged sections of the pole apart. So they hoisted the storm jeep and headed this towards the island. Question number 20. How did the little Jonathan react to the desperate situations they found themselves in 5th January? Jonathan asked his daddy if they were going to die. The narrator tried to assure him that they are not going to die, would overcome the situation, and then little John declared bravely that he was not afraid of death and provided they could all be together. Question 21. How did the narrator respond to the little John's words? What do his actions revealed about his character? He could not find proper words to respond. However, he felt inspired to fly the seaweed. With everything he had, he decided to stop the ship and protect the wave orchestra both sides. He did so that an improvised anchor and heavy nylon ropes and two 22 liters plastic barrels of paraffins. This shows that there is resurrectfulness of the determinations. And when do you think Mary and narrator feel at the end of Nair, and why did he feel so? On the opening of the 5th January 1977, Mary and narrator felt that the end was near because they were just together. Question number 23. Optimism and courage helped them in difficulties. The narrator was searching for a 65-kilometer wide island and ocean, 150,000 kilometers, and work. How did Sue try in villain and the gloomy atmosphere? Sue forgot her swollen head and blocked his eyes and purple funny card. On this seed express narrator says, I told the convictions I did not feel. What led him to believe so? The narrator lost his main compass. He was using a spare one. It did not have the richest calculations. It's not sure that he is on luck as well. Question number 26. What gloomy thoughts occurred to the narrator and what pleasant surprise restored them? The narrator thought their mind missed sense and they were could not hope to back into the vines and sail had been. The Jonathan called him the best daddy in the world and best captain for a hug and refused when Sue remarked that he found the island and he felt surprised. What did Sue tell her daddy about the island and what did he notice himself? Sue told her daddy that island was as big as a battleship and it was out there front of them. The narrator gazed at the complete outline. It was the bare piece of land. Why do you think the dictator called Amsterdam the most beautiful island in the world? The Amsterdam was a very small island made of volcanic rock and it had a little vegetation on it. How did the narrator think that while landing the Amsterdam thought the comes and 30? How can you say that Susan's injuries were serious?